My dad grew up poor, really poor. My grandma had 4 kids and raised them on welfare. So they didn't have any money. Money was really tight. And they didn't even have like running water sometimes. I remember hearing stories of getting water from the creek. And my dad would say, once a year we'd get like this little ice cream block and we'd each get like a slice. And that was our big, treat. And so that I think affected him. And I remember as a kid, going down into our basement, we had 2 deep freezes full of, meats. We had all this canned goods. He canned, canned tin cans of good. He had all this canning that he'd canned fruit. And it occurred to me later on in life that he had food insecurity growing up. And so he never wanted to be without food. So he had a lot of food around, and just internally there was like, oh, we're running low. We got to get some more, and so that affected him. And his previous events in his life affected how he is now, and our upbringing does that. And so I'm going to cover some scenarios that may or may not be applicable to you, but I've seen where something's happened in someone's past and it's affecting them today. And so the first thing I would ask and get you to examine is, how was money treated in your household growing up? Was it plentiful? Was it really scarce? And there's always this fear of running out, or was it a tool? And how did your parents treat money, and how did they interact with you with money? And that's often a key indicator of like, hey, how my parents treated me, like I'm going to be affected by that. Number 2, was there a traumatic event that happened? So maybe in your life, maybe you went bankrupt. How, you have less than 0 when you go bankrupt. What a difficult moment that, and just not having anything. So that can be really, and what about your parents? Maybe when you're young, parents went bankrupt and now like your family is just really scrounging. And so that can have an effect on how you view money now, how you spend money now, how you invest money now. And so, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just knowing what your triggers are. Did you have a bad experience with investing? And I see this all the time. Really wealthy people will come in and say, I invested once. I bought this penny stock my neighbor told me about, went to 0. The whole thing's a scam, right? A house of cards. And I think, I wish you talked to me first, and I would have, put you into some kind of diversified portfolio, and you'd had a positive experience. But they had a negative experience, so their view and their bias on investing is negative because they had a negative experience. So maybe you've had a negative experience. You invested before 2008, and your money went down, and you cashed out, and that was really hard on you. So I would examine some of the past events that have happened where you maybe had a traumatic experience, and see if they're affecting how you are today. And the fourth point, how is money in terms of like your parents spending money on you? And so I see this sometimes with children who's had their parents separate, is that their love was bought with money, right? You're like, oh, I want to be the fun parent. I want to spend money on you. And so now you associate spending money with love. And that's a dangerous thing, right? Because it's never going to be satisfied. Like that missing love from the parent, or that feeling of love is always coming from spending money. So no matter how much money you spend, it'll never be satisfied. So just identifying that and realizing that, and, working towards it. I hope you like those points. Would love to hear your feedback.